Hey everybody, this is Emehe and welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be running you through part 1 of the basics of Aseprite. As many of you may know or may not know, I have a pretty extensive background in video game creation and digital art, both 2D and 3D. One of the easiest ways to get into either making video games or just art in general is starting with 2D pixel art. And one of the best softwares to do that is Aseprite. Pretty sure you can get Aseprite on Steam for, I think it's $20. I got it on Steam. I'm pretty sure it was $20 when I got it. Don't quote me on that. But in today's video, I'm going to run you through the basics of the UI. That's going to be what this video is about. And then part 2 will be something else. So let's begin. When you open up your Aseprite, it's not going to look like this. You're not going to have all this stuff right here that I have. And you're also most likely going to be in light. I hate it, so I'm in dark mode. So I'm going to keep it like that. And you probably should too. The 3 things you really have to worry about in this screen is new file, open file, and recover files. Chances are you're going to want to make a new file. And when you do that, this is going to pop up, this new sprite. Now what a sprite is it's more or less just your drawing, your picture, right? So the first options you're going to have is your size, your width, and your height. Now this is measured in pixels because you're making pixel art, and chances are you're not going to want to go too big, especially if you're making a game. Depending on how you want your art to be, if you're starting out, I recommend probably 16 by 16. So that's what I'm going to do for this video. Then you can leave this on RGBA, leave the background on transparent if you want, and then make sure this is on square pixels. It will be, just make sure it's on that. And then you can press OK. All right, so starting off, if I zoom in here is our little beautiful canvas. Now you're not going to have this preview window open, and to actually get that screen you want to go to view, then you want to go down to preview, and you want to go to preview, and then I recommend setting that off to the side and then keeping it kind of zoomed out just like that. What that'll allow you to do is, this is more useful when you're doing bigger sprites like 64 by 64 or 128 by 128, but it allows you that if you're getting detail in like really close, you can see what it looks like in your whole image. It helps a lot, like big time. Besides that, this is what the UI looks like. And it might look a little daunting to somebody that's new, but don't worry, I'll explain it all right here. So starting with this top bar, you've got 3 options right here. You've got sort and gradient, presets, and then options. Starting off with sort and gradient. What this will do is this just helps you sort all these colors right here. And what these colors are is, chances are you're not gonna have any, so I can just delete them if I want. These are just your saved colors. So what this is useful for is if you're making a big scene, what I can do is to make sure I don't like if I'm using this for the sky in a scene, and then I go and I draw the grass. Instead of me having to guess what color my sky is, I could also just use the dropper tool, which I'll explain later. What you can do is you can come right here and you can click this little add foreground color to the palette, and it'll add it right there for you, which is super nice. And then all this does is it just changes how it's ordered. So if I go reverse colors, gradient, you see it changes it, but chances are you won't be using that much. And then you've also got your preset options where you can actually automatically put in a whole bunch of presets. Like they got Google UI, they've got JMP, they've got Minecraft. So if we click that, and then you can click on, and then right here is the details panel based on Minecraft 1.14 default textures. So you can click that and you can click load, and if I go ahead and close it, you can see that we have all those colors right here. So I can just replace my sky with this, and then I'll replace my grass with this, and then this will just be the palette that I use for this video. You don't have to use this palette, use whatever palette you want or make your own. And then you've got right here options, which you can change your palette size. So if I make it 2, I have 2 colors, and then you can edit your palette, which is what this does. Oh, that's what that does. It allows you to change your palette. So if oh, that's cool. Okay. And then you've got small, large. This is just a whole bunch of preferences. I'm not going to run you through them all. And then the next thing you've got, if I go ahead and select this nice little blue, and then the next thing you've got right here is your brush type. So if you click on this, you can either have a circle brush, where if I bring up the pixel count to like, not 23, that's huge, like 4, as you can see, it's a circle, right? Or it's trying to be a circle. And then I can change it to square. It's obviously a square. Then I can change it to a line, where it's obviously a line. And then you also can make your own brushes and import brushes with these options down here. I'm just gonna put it back to circle. And then right here, you've got your brush size. If I turn this down to 1, I'm only drawing with 1 pixel, versus if I turn it to 30, I'm drawing with 30 pixels. And then you've also got your ink. So for example, if I'm on the basic simple ink option and I draw, this will look like blue. And then if I go to alpha compositing, it'll look like blue. Alpha, okay, I don't know what this does. If you press lock, it doesn't let you draw. Shading, it does let you draw. Okay, yeah, I don't know what that does, which means it doesn't matter. So next one, you've got this right here, which is dynamics, which is it just lets you stabilize and then apply certain like attributes to your brushes, and it gives you a description of what they all do. So I'm not going to run you through them. See if I go to velocity, right? So you can mess with these on your own, but then you've got something right here that's called pixel perfect, which makes it so that if I draw a line, it looks like that. If I draw another line, it looks like that. Very different. And even if I try to draw how I drew that one, it won't double it up like this. It'll just make it a simple line. So this can be helpful in some scenarios. I don't know. I like to have it on. I don't really notice the difference, but it's whatever. And then these options right here are your symmetry. So you've got vertical, diagonal, and then your symmetry options, which just lets you reset it. So if I imagine you know what these do. If I have the horizontal one on, and I draws it on the other side. If I do it like this, draws it below. It can help when making like faces or certain animations where you need things to go the same way on like both arms per se. That's this whole top bar done. Now I'm gonna quickly run you through these options. Now before I start, these options are going to be very similar to pretty much every other program: Photoshop, Premiere Pro, you know, other editing software, Blender, stuff like that. So file, you're gonna have new, open, open recent, all your save and close options, your export and import. When you export as, just like this, you can leave everything the same. Your output file, this is your name, so you can change that. If you click right here, you can actually select a folder, and then you want to leave this all the same more or less, unless you're doing something specific like animation, which I'll talk about later. And then you've got your import, which lets you import sprite sheets, and then scripts, which lets you add in like add-ons and stuff, I believe. And then your edit action, which has undo, redo, and then your undo history, your cut, copy, paste, all that stuff. Your delete, your fill, stroke, and then the actual important stuff right here. So you've got your rotate. So if I draw a little heart, right? A little nice blue heart, just quickly. There we go. Beautiful heart. And then I'll fill it in with red. Beautiful heart. If I were to go to edit and then rotate 180, it'd flip it upside down. And then edit, rotate, they've got 90 degrees clockwise, and then they've also got 90 degrees counterclockwise. And I'm resetting it, obviously, with Control and Z. That's how that works. I hope you knew that. And then you've also got flip horizontal, flip vertical, which will allow you to flip it on its vertical axis or its horizontal axis. So if I flip it, it does that, obviously. Then you've got your transform, which allows you to move, which you should most likely use the hotkeys. Control T is how you do that. If you're not using hotkeys, it's probably an issue. Then you've got your new brush, which allows you add in a brush from something that you've drawn before. So for instance, if I go to new brush, as you can see, it lets me draw like parts of my heart based on what I highlighted, which is pretty cool. And then you've got your replace color, which is a super useful option where you can select what color you want to change, and then you can change it to whatever you want. So I'm changing my red color, and I can change it to gray or whatever color that is, or a nice red. I'll just leave it on the same thing. Although it did get rid of my blue, which is weird. Can I go back to my normal brush? There we go. And see, look, it saved it right there. So I can go Alt-2 and I can go back. I didn't know that. That's very cool. And then invert, adjustments, which is like brightness, contrast, your FX, which is like an outline, insert text, keyboard preferences, or keyboard shortcuts and preferences. I'm not going to run you through these. You can do that on your own time. And then right here are also some very beautiful options. You've got your sprite options. So like your properties, which will tell you your size, your type, how many frames you have, all that stuff. Your color mode, which should be on RGB most of the time. You can duplicate it. And then these three options, which are the most important in this sprite category, is sprite size. So I can change it from 16 to 128 by 128. You can lock the ratio if you want to make it so that each one is the same. I'm just gonna do 128, and as you can see, it grew. So now I have a heart, and it also grew my image to make it so that it's the same. So as you can see, a normal pixel is that big, but it made it so that it's that big, which is pretty cool. I'm just going to quickly delete it, just like that. And then you've also got your canvas size, which is the exact same thing, I guess. And then your rotate canvas, which just lets you rotate. Then you've got your layers, which just lets you mess with all your layers down here. Your frames, which lets you mess with your individual frames, where if I go right here, as you can see, I can add frames. This is how you do animation. And then you can add a new layer. And then if I were to go onto this layer and draw some purple, and then go onto this layer and draw some green. If I were selected on layer 2 and try to erase the purple, it wouldn't work. So this allows you to keep your art very organized so that you don't accidentally erase or delete something that you don't want. And then you've got your select, your view, which just allows you to add a grid, you know, all this stuff, and then help. But now onto the fun stuff. So this right here is your big color wheel. This is where you're going to be choosing all your colors. You've got your hue, you've got your saturation, and then you've got your vibrance, which is up and down. And if you click right here on the actual color, not right here to save it, but right here, it pulls up this little tab, which is very useful. You can change how it displays your color. It won't actually change the color, but it will change like how you change it based on which one you're most comfortable with. I love HSV the most. With HSV, you've got your hue, which is obviously just the color. If I change it, it'll look like that. And then you've got your saturation, which allows you to make it more vibrant versus less vibrant. And then you've got your actual vibrance thing, which allows you to make it darker or lighter, right? Or again, you can just use this, which is a lot easier for some people. And then along with drawing with left trigger, you can also, or left click, you can also draw with right click, which is what this color down here is for. So if you want to switch between two colors, like if I were to make this a red and then make this one a nice blue, then I can draw blue and then red very easily, just like that. There we go. I should have this like this. So that's this down here. I kind of explained this already. This is just how you do animation. So as you can see, I have nothing, and then frame 9 has something because I only drew on frame 9, as you can stop. And then to the most important stuff, all of your tools, which is where you're going to be most of the time. So if I quickly draw, right here is the magic wand tool, and this has a bunch of options. You've got your square tool, which allows you to select in a square. I'm going to close this. You've got your circle tool, which allows you to select in a circle. Your lasso tool, which allows you to select in a shape that you want. This is, again, it is very similar to Photoshop. So if you know Photoshop, you know this, right? And then you've also got your polygon lasso tool, which will allow you to do it based off of lines. So you can go like this and you can highlight a certain line that you want to. And then you've also got your magic wand, which when you click it, it selects everything of the same color. So if I draw a little bit of red in here, magic wand tool, and you can adjust the properties of every single one of these up top. I'm not going to go through them all because that would take an hour, but like tolerance is a big thing with magic wand tool. There we go. See, it only selected the blue. So then if I were to delete it, only the blue goes away. And then whenever you select it, you can just press Control and D to deselect. That's a very useful shortcut. And then I'll also quickly show you the shortcut to copy colors. So if you hold down Alt, it'll pull up the eyedropper and you can just click and it'll give you the color. Click, it'll give you the color. And if you click on the background, it'll actually give you a completely transparent color. So it's a very easy way to erase. So you can draw, and then instead of having to go up here to your eraser or press E, you can just Alt and click and then erase. A little bit simpler that way. And then you've also got your pencil tool, which is your main way of drawing. So if I come here to my pencil tool, I can draw blue, I can draw with whatever color I want, right? Just a pencil tool. This is how you adjust the size, just like before that we talked about, right? And then you can also make it a square. And then you've also got your spray tool, which what this allows you to do is it allows you to spray. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then you've got your erase tool, which you can adjust the size of, and it will obviously erase, right? Who would have thought? And then you've got your eyedropper tool, which I gave you the shortcut for that. It's if you hold down Alt and click, but you can also come over here and press I, or come up here and click, and it'll give you whatever color you want. And then if you left click a color, it'll select it as your top brush, or your foreground color. And then if you right click a color, it'll set it as your background color. So I like to have my background color on like a transparent, like the mask, and then my foreground color on whatever I actually want it to be. So that way when I'm drawing, I can quickly draw and then erase just by left click and then right click, just like that. And then you've also got your hand tool, which what this does is it lets you move around. All your hand tool does is lets you move around. Other than that, you should hold down spacebar. That's how you move around. So spacebar, click and hold. That's how you move around. Or you can click down on the middle mouse button and move around, and then scroll wheel to scroll in and out, obviously. Just like pretty much every other software. And then if you hold down Control, that is an easy shortcut. If you hold down Control and then click, it lets you move around your art. Very useful. You've also got your Move tool, which I just explained. And then with that, you've got your Slice tool, which allows you to slice out a piece and then move that, I think. I don't know. Then you've got your Paint Bucket tool, which does exactly what you think it does. It paints whatever you click on, whether it's the background or the blue. It paints it all that color, whatever you chose. So I can quickly delete if I wanted to, or I can fill the whole thing. And then with that, you also have your gradient tool. And what the gradient tool does is it uses both your foreground and background colors to determine what the gradient is. So if I have my foreground on this nice blue and then my background on this like pinkish, I'm gonna also quickly just delete this. If I go back, as you can see, what it'll do is it'll go from pink to blue. Very simple gradient, very nice looking, and you can do it as many times as you want. Cut that right there, and then you can do it again, I think. Anyway, that's how you do that. And it's not pixel based, the gradient, it's an actual gradient, which is nice. And then you've also got your line tool, which does exactly what you think. You can draw lines. You can draw straight lines or diagonal lines. And then you've also got your curvy line tool. So you can do that and then let go. And you can keep clicking and it'll add in your line. So if I click and then I click again and then I click again, it'll actually draw that. Or I can click and hold and then let go, click and then click again. That's how you do that. Then you've got your rectangle tool. There's different kinds of it, many different kinds. But this first one, it draws just the perimeter. But the second one will actually fill it in for you. And then it's the same with the circles. So just the perimeter and then the whole thing. Then you've got your contour tool. It will take whatever shape you draw. So if I draw something wonky, it'll fill it in for me at whatever shape I want, and it'll do whatever you want. And then your polygon tool, which will do the same thing but based off of clicks, I think. So you click and hold and you click and then you click again and it'll do it like that. Then you've got your final tool, the blur tool, which if I have two colors just like this, and if I go to my blur tool and I do it like this, it'll give me a very nice, it'll give me a nice beautiful little gradient, and if I keep clicking it'll make it more and more. But this gradient is actually pixel based. This can be quite helpful. And you've also got your jumble tool, where if I do this again over here, jumble tool, it will kind of just randomize it. This is really cool if you want to do like this kind of certain art style. It can make that really easy for you so you don't have to do it all manually. But that is the whole gist of the entire thing. That's every single piece of the UI explained. Besides this stuff down here, this is your preview. Oh, you can just click down here though. This button right here in the bottom right will actually get rid of your animation bar if you don't want to make animations. And then this right here just lets you adjust your zoom manually. And then this is how you say how many frames you have. So if I come back up here, I have 5. If I go to 1 or 15, oops. Or this lets you choose which frame you're selected on. Okay, that's cool. That's about it though for this video. I would like to thank you all for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.